We are Quilters HQ, Sewing Machines Express, and Windmill Sewing Center. The websites are quiltershq.com, QHQ2.com, and windmillsewingcenter.com. We do this every Tuesday from 6 to 7 Central, and we do all kinds of things. So let's show the quilt. I'm going to show you how to make this block using AccuQuilt. So this was our shop hop quilt. And it looks like it's a really complicated block. It's not. This is just a 9-patch. But you know me, I like to cut it out with AccuQuilt because I don't have a lot of time to sew, and this makes it really easy for me. So with this pattern, you actually cut out 2 blocks. So if you have fat quarters, you can cut them in half, but you do need to have the 6-inch cube for this one. So here are some of the blocks that I've made that show you kind of how it goes together. How you're doing
see that or thing?
2 colorways at the same time. Here's another one. So this is, I had a Kim Deal Fat 1/8 bundle. Now these are fabrics out of my stash. They're old. We don't have these fabrics in the store. So, sorry to disappoint if you were hoping. So out of your 6-inch cube, you will need...
Got a question. Is the pattern available?
So the pattern is not mine. So the pattern is actually, I think it's All People Quilt. So if you go to there, and the way I found it was I did a search for Fat 1/8 quilts. And it is called Winter Wonderland. That's the name of the pattern. They have rotary cutting instructions. So it is a pretty easy quilt to cut out. I'm going to embellish this a little bit. I think I'm going to add a sashing in here. So this is one of those you don't need a pattern to make. If you have the cube, then you can make this yourself. So, but in order to cut it out of the Fat 1/8, you need the 6-inch cube. You cannot use the 8-inch cube. You will not have enough fabric. So, we're all clear on that. You will need dies 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to make this.
Dies what?
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Dies 1
through 5.
Through 5. The 6-inch cube?
Out of the 6-inch cube. Yep, and this is out of the basic cube, so you don't need angles or corners or anything like that. And then there's an order that I want you to cut these in. And that will be 3, 4, 2, 1, and 5. So this will be available on YouTube, so that if you want to... 3, 4, 2, 1, and 5.
So cutting is 3,
4, 2,
2,
1, and 5.
5.
So from die number 3, you need 4 of each color. On the die, there's only 2 shapes, so we're going to cut this one twice. Now, when you're using your Fat 1/8, you're going to pull this one aside. You're going to line up your raw edge ends and have them nice and tidy. Just those 2, and you're going to have your salvage down here at the bottom. And then you're going to fold it in half and press it. Okay, I've already done some. So I'm going to use this one. That one's kind of wonky. I'm going to use this one. This one has some good color. So with this die, your fabric, so it's going to kind of go like sideways through here. And you're going to get as close as you can. Can you see this okay? As close as you can I've actually drawn lines on my dies so that I know where my die starts and ends. And so you're going to get as close as you can on this so that you get all of your cuts. And I'm really lining up that folded edge to make sure I have it on there. And really close. So we're going to have just a tiny, tiny amount of scrap left when we do this one.
Hey Kathy, how are you tonight?
Halfway there for this one, and we'll start laying out this block as we're cutting.
Back quarter will make 8-inch, question mark?
It will, but you'll have quite a bit of fabric left over.
So if you're okay with some extra, you could do it with the 8?
Right. And I do think I have to cut this one twice. Yes. So die number...
Pattern's just, Jen found the pattern, it's just Winter Wonder.
Winter Wonder. Die number 3, you're going to cut twice. So run this through again because we're actually cutting out 2 blocks at the same time. Will you grab a 6-inch cube? I didn't think to. No, off the floor. And again, slide that mat off because this creates some static. And so that's all of that one. Now, when I was cutting these, I was going through and cutting a whole bunch of them at one time. So what I did is just stack this face down. I know AccuQuilt says don't stack your dies, but this is not what they're talking about. So I just want to keep these in order. So next die up is die number 4, and we're only going to run this through one time. And that's going to give us all of our pieces. Yes. Okay. And so that gives us all of these that we need. Oop, I need more scissors. I had them out. There. I've been cutting quite a few of these and I haven't picked the die out, so don't be surprised if you see more strings being caught. Okay, so all of those are cut. Again, I'm just going to stack this right here. Once you get to this point, you have, look how much we're using. So we're down, this is our waste for this block. So we're going to open this up. Next die up is die number 2, and we need 4 of each color, and this has 4, so we're going to open it up, and we're going to lay this out just like this on here. And again, I'm always keeping my salvage going through this way so that my squares will come out square.
Hey Cheryl, how are you?
There are my 4 squares of each color. Again, I'm going to put this right on there so that I can do the next one in order. Next one is die number 1. We need 2 of those. So this little piece right here, we're going to cut it out of that. And we still want to conserve as much fabric as we can, so we're going to come all the way to the top and to the edge, and our die is right here. Oops, almost made a mistake right there live. It is live, anything can happen. There are our 2 squares, and this is the part where it gets tricky because we need 8 of each color of this one. And so on some of these, I'm actually going to trim this off a little bit. Trim my waist there. And then I'm going to fold it in half like this. So I don't know if you can see it. Here, let me fold it the wrong way so that you can see what I'm actually doing here. So I'm actually folding this so that you can still see the salvage. I really don't want the salvage to be part of my quilt. It shrinks the wrong way, and we'll just cut these inside out. And if you do this exactly this way, and I want to make sure on the other one I'm on there too, and you have drawn your lines on your dies, you'll be able to fit this on here and get those 8 half square triangles out of this tiny piece. And there it is. That is our block completely cut out. And this is what we have left of the fat eighth. So I have not, somebody asked if we had done it with a fat quarter. I have not tried it with the 8-inch cube and the fat quarter, but I imagine that there is enough to get that out of there to piece that block. So let's go ahead and lay this out so that you can see how it goes together, and I can tell you where I tripped up on this block. One more blue square. It'll turn up in a second. And so once we get, that's where this is wrong. It goes this way. And then one of these, those, and then these go, the smaller ones fit right there. It's like a puzzle. This is why quilters love puzzles. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to spread these out a little bit so you can see each patch. And my square. We're missing a square.
It's probably stuck to something.
It probably is, or there's 2. Okay. Is it in here? Oh, there's another triangle.
There's a square.
Here he is.
You turned up.
Found it. Okay. So we won't put the other one together. We're just going to slide these off because they go together exactly the same. So these are your units. Yep. So when you're piecing, you're going to piece all of these and then piece it to the block. These get pieced to that square, and then you make your units, and then it just goes together as a
Hey, Carol.
9 patch. Now, I can tell you where I did wrong more than once was I wanted to sew this like this. And I had to take it apart several times because just in my mind, that was always supposed to be a light going next to a dark, but you're actually creating this larger triangle right here out of this square. So this unit creates this larger triangle.
So you had another question.
Okay.
They missed the answer on how many fat eighths it takes to actually do it.
Okay, so 44, and you're going to have 2 left over. So you need
44 fat eighths.
44 fat eighths.
Okay.
So, and these were just fat eighths that I had laying around. Fat eighth is my absolute favorite size pre-cut. It is just enough fabric where I can cut this out, and I would probably take these.
Hey, Kitty, how are you tonight?
And just cut out more of these triangles, or use my 8-inch die and cut out 2.5-inch half square triangles and just put them in a bin. I have a box full of them, and someday I will just take and sew them together. And sometimes when I feel like sewing but I don't feel like making anything, I'll just go down, pull out that box, and just start sewing half square triangles together until I get bored, and then I go do something else. But it gives me that, you know, stress relief of sewing, but I'm not actually making anything. I'm making progress on a future project, because all of those will go into a quilt later when I have enough pieced together to make a wall hanging size quilt. I'll piece them all together. But it's nice to have little projects like that around, so that, you know, if you don't want to work on a project like this all at once, you can just have this setting aside somewhere.
And you have a lot of blocks that you just kind of store, and then you'll go back through and look and put something together later, or you need a block here.
Yeah, I have a lot of blocks. Super easy block to cut out, super easy block to sew together. This, you can let your imagination fly. But I've got America's favorite sewing machine, the TL18 here, and we're gonna, and my little magnetic guide, and we're gonna piece this block. And so when I started these, so we're gonna piece these triangles, and we're gonna make half square triangles out of them. So we're just gonna chain piece all of these, and it's not terribly long, so we're actually making 2 blocks at one time. And so these are your small pieces, your small triangles, and your small squares. And you have 8 of each of those. So I'm just going to start here, make that a little smaller, and speed that all the way up. So the longest part of this is what it takes me to line up the pieces. And I know several of you have this machine. Give us a thumbs up if you are just in love with it. For me, there's nothing like piecing on a straight stitch machine. Your pieces are just perfect.
And you can go super speed.
I can get, well, these are little tiny pieces, so I can't really get revved up. It's like, you know, driving on Metcalf. You can't get any speed because the traffic lights are so close together.
It's a stoplight.
That's what this is like. But hey, I'm the first one there.
That's right. I was the first one to stop.
Yep.
That just makes you think. Remember that time we were at the movies? And that guy came out and he was going pew 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 pew. After the movie.
What movie were we watching?
I don't remember. It was like an Avengers movie
I think
or
it was
something. I don't know.
Avengers, and he was an older
He was
teenager,
into it.
and you know, we had
Had
all
the
the
sound
children,
effects.
so we were standing next to the restroom, and this guy, you know, he must have been 16, 17, somewhere in there, and he's walking around going pew 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 pew, and I'm like,
It was pretty funny. Hey Sharon, how are you tonight?
okay, so that's half of it completed, and I didn't grab a little trim that. So I'm just going to use the back of my sewing machine to clip these apart. So this block takes about 15 minutes to put together, and let's trim the tail off too. I'm going to use my doohickey. These are $7.99, I think, to press that seam instead of having to go to the iron every time. So if you don't have one of these, comment make it mine doohickey. It is a multifunction finger presser tool. We just nicknamed it the doohickey. And so I'm just pressing these seams, even though, you know, normally you don't press towards the light. I'm doing this intentionally because I want my other half of this to line up.
Hey Barb, how are you? Rainy, snowy Northwest Ohio. Hey Carol, how are you tonight?
It's kind of like Kansas today.
Hey Fran,
And
how
so
are you?
I'm just going to piece the rest of this, just like this. And so I really want this corner so that I can make sure this is lined up correctly.
If you're just joining us, we are working on the...
This
What would
was
you
our
call
shop.
this?
This is the Winter Wonderland block.
Winter Wonderland block. And you can get
Yep.
the pattern. You'd have to look at the last show
All
where the
people,
link is.
I think it's All People Quilt.
All People Quilts, and it's Wonder. Wonder, I think.
Yep.
Land. Oh, Molly still got it. She's on
Molly's still got the link for you. It's a super easy block to make, so if you've got scrap fabrics and an AccuQuilt, I didn't write the directions for the Winter Wonder quilt. It is not the easiest one to follow the directions and piece it together. So, but I'm spoiled by AccuQuilt, so if I can figure out how to do it, I'm gonna. And then I had a bunch of fat eighths, which is probably my favorite pre-cut, is the fat eighth. You don't get too much fabric, it's just enough. And I don't really make big quilts, but you could absolutely use a fat quarter bundle for this.
It's speed sewing with Joan. Stoplight to stoplight.
Vroom!
Everybody should come in and do speed sewing with Joan.
Hey Terry, how are you tonight?
Did you finish the Nordic Star? Firing minds want to know.
I did, and those are not easy to do, and probably not appropriate for, you know, just a really short sew along here. But I did finish it, and I decided that that's one that needs a lot more camera focus than what we can do here. So we will, when I get the studio finished, we will make a video on how to make those, hopefully soon. Okay, so there is all my half square triangles put together. Just gonna press that other seam open, or not open, just to the side.
Just pressing.
So
Cheryl,
just like that.
How are you tonight?
And then I had one more step for these that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you why. So I like to use this magnet on the sewing machine, and I also like the T-gauge that you actually bolt to the machine. And we are sold out of them. It's a, you know, I tell people about it and then they buy them. So when I want to tell you about it, I don't have one in the store to show you, but it's a T-gauge that actually bolts onto your machine. But since I use those, I do like to go and clip or trim this little corner that sticks out right there. So there's the edge of my fabric, because when I go to line up this fabric and I'm using these guides, this is going to cause my seam to bump. So I'm just going to trim that off real quick with just a regular pair of scissors. Nothing fancy here. So it doesn't have to be perfect, just not part of my block. And these little steps will make the seam line up perfectly when we're sewing this block together. And these do get messy. So somebody said have some, like,
Bernadine, you are here. You are not lost. You have joined the flock or the community. You here.
so when we're piecing these, I'm going to move these out of the way. Somebody said get like a piece of lint roller to clip those over,
Yeah,
and they'll
that's a good
stay.
idea.
So this block I'm going to assemble it a little bit, just a little bit.
You
So
want to keep these, right?
no. So these go like this,
Garlic, confetti, pride.
but it is still pieced in a 9
Hey,
patch.
Diane, how are you?
And then one big one, one small one, like this. So that's what that block looks like. This one, this is the wrong one. We need this one.
Winter Dash Wonder.
Looks like this. So this is our 3 unit, or this is our unit. So there's 3 units to this block. So 1, 2, and 3. So, and then it goes together. So you'll make 4 of these, 4 of these, and then you'll just have the 1 of that to get your 9 patch. So, good rule of thumb when you're piecing these, so you're going to piece these triangles, is whatever color this square is what you're going to piece to it in the larger.
Yeah, just point to that one again if you would.
So whatever color this square is what you're going to piece to it in the larger half square triangles. So we're just going to fly through those real quick, and then we're going to piece another section together. See, there we go. Now we got the speed going.
No more turtle.
No more turtle.
Hey, Miranda, how are you tonight? This is the Winter Wonder block. Winter with a dash wonder.
So that's all 4 of those. So I'm going to piece these to this one.
Are great.
There. I think I like this block so much because you end up making 2 blocks. So it's like
it's a twofer.
it's a twofer. That's right.
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Okay, so the other thing that I'm going to do, we have a few of these left. So we haven't pieced these yet. All of these, this size, so we have like small, medium, and large triangles. This is your medium triangle. They get pieced to this triangle. And so whichever way you put these together, you want to put all of them together that way. So I'm just going to lay them here like this. And so from this corner to this seam. And I'm going to have the lighter fabric on top on all of them. And you'll see why in a minute.
If you're just joining us, this is the Winter Wonder block from All People Quilts. The link is further up in the description, and those are fabrics out of Joan's stash, so you can use pretty much whatever you want.
Yep. And we can show you what the quilt looks like. Okay, so I pieced 2 different segments together, and so now I'm just going to press those seams. When I have sections like this, I like to press towards the side that's not pieced, because you can get some bulk. So
Hey, Darlene, how are you?
And we have a few of those. Should have 8 of these in 2 different colorways. And by the way, this is exactly how I did it when I made that quilt. I didn't get up and iron each of these patches. When I finished piecing them all, I did iron the whole block, but I used this tool throughout the whole thing. I think it saves you a lot of time because most of the irons now power off, and by the time I pieced all of these pieces, my iron was just powered off, so I dug through and found my tool and away I went.
Hey Nancy, how are you tonight?
Welcome to the show.
But this is a beautiful quilt, and Meredith does a lot of the quilt magazines that we buy.
Sampler.
Yep.
I don't remember the name of the other one off the top of my head.
And they allow shops to use their patterns this way for teaching and in classes. And so these are all the same, and I'm just pressing towards the dark side of the fabric.
So this one's going to be turned into a YouTube demo, right?
Yep. So maybe we can take the part from the cutting and combine it with this one. So the cutting, if you're using AccuQuilt, if you're going to use AccuQuilt to make this, oops, pressed it the wrong way. If you're going to use AccuQuilt to make this, go back and watch that video because you barely have enough fabric to get this block out of 2 fat eighths.
You gotta fold it, right?
You got to fold it in half, and so we won't get into all of that. So all of these pieces that we have left over, we should have 4 of these and 4 of these, and they get piece to this. So let's start this. These longer pieces you can really get going with your
Yeah, stoplight corner to corner.
corner to corner now.
Hey Carol. Carol said hers froze. Been steady for Carrie. Yep, kind of depends on where you're at.
Yep.
Are you in favor of the Facebook area or not?
Oops, my seams is about to flip. Let me fix that.
Hi, Donna. How are you tonight? Cheyenne, we haven't seen you for a little bit. Hope you're doing well.
Okay. Okay, and again, I'm going to press these towards the side that is not pieced. Can you see our blocks starting to come together?
I think so.
It's
You're
almost time.
You're getting 2 blocks out of this. So
Yeah, you're making 2
that's
at
like
the
a
same
bonus.
time. It is.
1 plus 1 is. Yes, Donna, your full nickname. This is the tool.
This is the doohickey. Donna named it for us.
Oh, Kathy lost again. Maybe switch to YouTube, Kathy, and see if that's better.
Yep. Okay, so let's lay this out. We've got all of our units pieced together. So, and I will tell you, I wanted to do that, but it doesn't go like that. This is the unit that goes with this one. And then whatever the center color is what color your outer corner is. Let's lay out the other one. Isn't it awesome that you get 2 blocks out of this method?
That's pretty cool.
I love this.
We're going to have to find more blocks where you get a second block.
It's like a bonus block.
It is a bonus block. The bonus round.
Something like. Okay, so, and I will tell you where I messed up when I pieced these rolls, because I piece all of these together. I wanted to, here, let me just piece one of these together and I'll show you. And I did have to do some unsewing. And so the middles, so this seam goes out, so we're pressing towards the outside on these. And so this is the part where I'm going to give you caution, because there were many times I pieced this together with this, because this center block was throwing me off every time, and I wanted to, it's supposed to be like that, but I can't, there was like maybe 3 or 4 blocks where I laid the block out to iron
You
it,
almost should flip it over, right?
and it's like that, and I'm like, ah. So I'm only gonna finish one of these for you. And then we'll get on to what you really want, which is the new fabric that we just cut in.
Oh, we got new fabrics.
We got new fabrics.
Look at that.
They are gorgeous. Boutique sale.
It's like it's bluish.
I know, isn't that gorgeous? Stop teasing, Robert.
What about the
Okay, so these I pressed towards the seam towards this inside block. Welcome to my world.
Everyone should have fun.
Be sure and comment. We have a pretty good giveaway.
We do have a good
Tonight.
giveaway tonight.
And I'm just making sure my seams are nested, because this block is going to go into the quilt I'm making at home.
Please, guys.
And again, I press towards the center. So on this block, press all of your seams towards the center, and I'll show you the back. I'll show it to you again when we finish. It makes it easier when you start piecing the blocks together, then you can rotate those seams. So this piece
You had a question.
gets pressed towards the outside, and then last little tidbit here.
Question of how come you don't press it open? Press the seams open.
That's a really good question, and I'll answer it just as soon as I'm done sewing here.
Hello, Mom and Pop Quilt Shop from Nova Scotia. Welcome to the show. Lisa was saying that her drinking mug says that if you see a seam ripper, now is not a good time. I feel the pain of backward blocks.
Yep. And it's just me. It's not the block at all. It's just me that I'm like, oh, well.
You're right. Find your inner quilter.
So, I don't know if talking about it made me do it or, you know, what it was, but I was always, this is just me. Maybe you
It's like
won't
the
have
Pac-Man
this.
thing going along.
I know. Maybe you won't have this issue, but I did this several times with this block, and I ended up having to pick it out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make you watch me seam rip.
Even after you said it.
Curse, and I was saying, be careful, because this is what you end up with. This is not what it's supposed to look like. This is supposed to be facing the other way. So I am not really.
Lisa said she jinxed you with her
I
coffee
am.
mug.
I am not shocked that I did this, because I did this several times making that quilt. So I have not found a trick to keep me from doing it. It's live. Anything can happen. So
It's probably a salesman.
should we answer him? See what he wants? Maybe it's somebody asking if we voted.
Publisher sweepstakes.
Publisher sweepstakes. So just be cautious of that when you piece these blocks together, because several times. But it is pretty block, so fortunately I didn't press that seam. It'll be easier to rip out.
As
And
always.
oil your hook, check your needle, and check your thread path. Make sure you're using the
Sounds
right
awesome.
size needle too. That is probably our number one. People come in and they are saying, I'm having a problem with my sewing machine. It's shredding the thread, or I'm getting thread nesting, and they're doing some kind of free motion quilting, or they're making a bag and they're using a needle that's too small. If you have batting, if you are using batting of any kind, whether it's the Hobbs or the
Builder's Dream.
I can't think of the other one, Bianni's bag, you need to be a 16 needle minimum. If you can get an 18, go to that. But that will save you all of your problems with the quilting. So
We will be here next week.
we won't
Yeah.
be, we will.
Yeah, we'll be on. Yeah.
We'll be here.
Only day we're closed is Thursday.
Only day, and be sure we do have some great sewing machine
Yeah, there's
specials.
a lot of Black Friday stuff, so
There is a lot of
keep
Black
an eye
Friday.
out.
Keep your sewing, your email handy. We will send them out probably Wednesday after we close, and then again Friday morning.
Virginia said it could be the wrong bobbin. Ask me how I know.
I've done that too.
All right, everyone. Enjoy your week, and we will see you for the Thanksgiving special next week.
If we don't see you sooner.
Gobble, gobble.